Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech, and in this video, I'll be doing a quick unboxing and a hands-on review of the Infinix Hot 9. So guys, here's the box, and this is the latest phone from Infinix in the Hot series. This is the Hot 9, and right now we don't know the price. On the box it is priced at 9,000 rupees, but I'm expecting it to be priced around 8,000 rupees. Now the main highlights for this phone would be its display, which obviously, as you can see, it is a punch hole design, which Infinix likes to call it full view O display. Besides that, you also get 4GB of RAM, 64GB of storage, DTS audio support, most importantly, great cameras, and a massive 5000 mAh battery. So without any further delays, let's just unbox it and see how good it is. Now first, let's have a quick physical overview of the box. So this is how the box looks on the front. We have a quick preview of how the phone looks. Actually, bezels look quite big on the box itself, but bezels on the phone are pretty slim. Anyway, on the front we have the Infinix branding, we have the phone's name, that's the Hot 9, and at the bottom we also have a hashtag that says a lot extra. It definitely has a lot of extra things. We have to see if it is really good or not. Anyway, on the left side and right side we have the Hot 9 branding, and finally on the back side we have some of the highlighting features. That's mainly the display, battery, cameras, and the DTS audio processing. Now let's open it up. Now once we open the box, first we have the phone itself with a sticker on the front and back. Let me just put that aside. Next we have a SIM card ejector, followed by a 10 watts power adapter. Next we have a micro USB charging cable, some documentation, and a screen guard protector as well. I wish it came pre-installed. Anyway, I still appreciate it. Finally, we also get a free silicone case inside the box, and it is completely transparent, unlike some of the cases Infinix has given with their previous phones. Now let me just put everything aside and come back to the phone. Let me peel these stickers off. So guys, this is how the phone looks on the front, and this is how the phone looks on the back. Now let's have a physical overview. On the back, this phone has a plastic back panel which pretty much looks like a glass back, but in fact it's just plastic with a pretty cool gem cut texture. At the top we have the quad camera setup, which once again looks pretty similar to some of the latest Samsung phones. Beside that we have the fingerprint scanner followed by the Infinix branding, and at the bottom it says Hot designed by Infinix, DTS. Now on the front, we get a massive display with a punch hole design, slimmer bezels at the top and left and right, and a decent bezel at the bottom. It's also protected by a 2.5D curved glass, which makes the surface feel very smooth. Now for the edges, on the right side it has the power and volume buttons. They are made of plastic, but they have a nice clicky feel to them, and they are sufficiently elevated. At the top it is completely plain. On the left side it has a SIM card tray housing 2 nano SIM slots along with a dedicated SD card slot. Finally, at the bottom, we have the speaker grill on the left side, followed by the micro USB charging port, primary microphone, and the 3.5mm audio jack. This phone weighs 194 grams. That number might sound a lot, but surprisingly, in hand, this phone doesn't feel all that heavy. Now let me just try out this case that we got inside the box. So this is how the phone looks on the front, and this is how the phone looks on the back with the case on. On the front, there is a tiny bit of raised lip, which is almost negligible. On the back, it is a tiny raised lip for the camera module and a nice cutout for the fingerprint scanner. Even with the case on, buttons are still easily traceable and they're nice and clickable. Overall, this case is pretty good to get started, but if you want some extra protection, get a better case. Now these are the complete specifications of this phone. On the rear, this phone has a quad camera setup with a 13MP primary camera with f1.8 aperture, followed by a 2MP depth sensor for taking portrait shots, followed by a 2MP camera for taking macro shots, and finally a low light sensor. On the front, inside that punch hole design, you get an 8MP selfie camera with f2.0 aperture. On the front, you get a massive 6.6-inch IPS display with HD plus resolution with 20:9 aspect ratio and 480 nits of brightness. Under the hood, it sports a MediaTek Helio P22 processor with PowerVR GE8320 GPU with 4GB of DDR4 RAM and 64GB of storage. Right out of the box, it will be running XOS version 6.1 based on Android 10. Finally, powering this device is a massive 5000 mAh battery that doesn't support fast charging and comes with a regular 10 watts power adapter inside the box. So guys, those were the complete specifications. Now let me turn on the phone and set it up and come back to you in a second. So guys, this is how the phone looks once we turn it on, set it up and configure it completely. This is how the UI looks like. This is the app drawer and this is the notification panel. Now let's go to settings and check out the about page. So this phone is running XOS version 6.1.0 based on Android 10, and right now it has a January security patch. Now let's check out the storage section. So out of that 4GB of RAM, we get about 2.41GB of RAM free right out of the box, and out of that 64GB of storage, we get about 53.92GB of space for our user apps and user data. If we need more, we can always pop in an SD card. Now let's check out the camera interface. So this is how the camera interface looks like. You might expect this phone has a wide angle camera, but it doesn't. Out of those 4 cameras, one is for primary camera, second one is for the depth sensing, that's for taking portrait shots. Another one is a macro camera, and final one is a low light sensor. So you just get 2 camera features, that's the regular primary camera and a dedicated macro mode. And this macro mode can be quite useful if you take macro shots a lot. So this is how you switch between the primary camera and the macro camera. Here's the quick toggle for that. And by default, it's always in the AI camera mode. There's no non-AI mode on this phone. Besides that, on the left side, we have video recording, and we can record video in 1080p resolution. And that's only using the primary camera. We can't use the macro camera for anything else. Next, we have a dedicated beauty mode for all those beautifying fans. Next, we have bokeh mode followed by AR shot, which simply adds stickers to your face. I'll show you that for selfies. And finally, we have the panorama. Now let's check out the camera interface for the front camera. So this is the interface for the front camera, and as you can see, whenever we switch to the front camera, we get a ring near the front camera. It's nothing impressive, but it's a nice gesture or a touch. Anyway, initial impressions, front camera looks pretty decent, and there aren't any bells and whistles for the front camera. Now on the left side, we have video recording. That's once again, we can record video in 1080p even using the front camera. Next, we have the regular beauty mode followed by portrait mode, that's portrait selfies, followed by AR shot, and this is a quick preview of AR shots. So you can take funny pictures like these. You can add stickers to your face and create some cool effects. Next, we have wide selfie. Now this is like panorama mode for the front camera. Just take a picture and twist your phone left and right, and then you'll get a wide angle selfie. A pretty interesting feature. So guys, that's the camera interface. Now these are some sample shots. Now let's check out the speaker loudness. So guys, that was the speaker loudness. For regular ringtones, calls and alarms, it's sufficient. Now let's test out the fingerprint scanner. So I've already added it. Now let's check it out. Fingerprint scanner is pretty fast, but phone takes like a split second to just unlock the phone, which is completely acceptable. So there we have it, that's the fingerprint scanner. Now let's test the face unlock feature, and here we go. So face unlock feature also works pretty well, but it's taking like a second to just unlock the phone. It can be pretty annoying if you're coming from Oppo or Vivo phones. Overall, it's usable and it's working. Now let's try in low lighting conditions. So it even works pretty well in low lighting conditions, but once again, it is kinda slow. Just a split second slower. Now let's test it in complete darkness. Now it's completely dark, there are no lights in the room, and phone is automatically increasing the screen brightness to compensate for the lack of light, and even in complete darkness, face unlock is working pretty well. It is comparatively slower, but it still works. So guys, that was the face unlock feature. Overall it works, but I'd rather use the fingerprint scanner instead. Now there are some interesting features on this phone that you might want to look into. First, we have a dedicated dark mode, just like most of the Android phones. So to enable the dark mode, you need to go to settings, then select display, and just enable this toggle. Once you do that, dark mode will be enabled, and this is how your phone will look like now. This is the phone dialer. Even the stock applications change their theme, which is a pretty good thing. And this is a settings page. And this is your recent apps. Nothing much changed over here. So that's dark mode. And besides that, we also have something interesting where we can hide the punch hole design. So for that, once again, go to display and just gonna disable dark mode to show you that effect. So over here, select notch area display. Now this is the default look where you can see the punch hole design, but if you're someone who hates it or you want to completely hide it, you can select this option and it's replaced with a black status bar, and now the punch hole design is completely hidden. It's still there, but it doesn't pop out a lot. Personally, I like to stick with the default one. Besides that, you also have a lot of cool gestures and you can access them from actions and gestures. Personally, I like the double tap to wake feature and taking screenshots with 3 fingers. So here's a quick demonstration of taking screenshot using 3-finger screenshot gesture. So it works, and this is double tap to wake. So both these gestures work, and besides that, you also have all these gestures that you can try. So guys, this is the new Infinix Hot 9. If you're looking for a phone with decent cameras but with a bigger battery, an awesome looking display, then you can definitely consider this phone. So guys, what do you think about this phone? Do let me know by commenting below this video, and if you're planning to buy this phone, use the link in the description. It always helps the channel. If you want us to make any specific video, tweet out to us with the hashtag AskGreedyTech on Twitter, and we will try to make it as soon as possible. I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech signing off. Have a nice day.